Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is the Rice News analyst, Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Yes, let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, NNPP road tax scheme. FEC, Federal Executive Council, approves additional 1.9 trillion naira to reconstruct 44 roads. National Oil Company's intervention hits 2.52 trillion naira. Federal government to procure 31 vehicles worth 1.35 billion for Ogoni project monitoring. OK's police institutions bill. Yes, the Federal Executive Council, very busy yesterday, chaired by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, awarding contracts, and of course, the tax scheme, which the NNPP has been involved in recently. This time, 1.9 trillion to construct 44 roads. I hope these roads will be evenly spread across the country. There are a number of federal roads that are in very bad shape, and we hope this government that has prided itself as providing infrastructure will fix all these bad roads before it leaves office. Of course, roads that readily come to mind, the Otabel-Kota Road, the Benin-Warri Federal Road, and of course, the Calabar-Itu, Ikoripene Federal Highway. These are highways that are begging for attention. But as to the government being so busy in the twilight of this administration, Ruben, don't forget that there is the supplementary budget signed into law not too long ago. There is the rollover of the 2022 budget for another 3 months this year. And of course, there is the 2023 budget already signed into law. It doesn't really matter where the money is coming from, whether from loans, from foreign loans or ways and means. But work is going on, Ruben, and it will continue until this government leaves office. There's nothing like, I don't want to believe that there's something like lame duck administration. No, this administration will continue to work, and we hope they'll be working for Nigerians to the appreciation of one and all. Now, another story that tickles my fancy, if you will, in the front, and I'm sure many will want to hear this response from Tunde Bakare. Yes, I scored 0 in APC primary, but have true identity, integrity intact. Bakare replies, Tinubu, of course, recall Bakare was quoted as saying recently that he doesn't believe in this politics of entitlement, and he doesn't believe in primordial sentiments, aka Emilokon. And he got a response from the Tinubu side that, well, because he scored 0 votes at the APC primaries, perhaps it's affecting him, and that nothing serious will be attached to what a man who scored 0 in the primary said. But Tunde Bakare, politician, pastor politician, yes, who is the general overseer of the Citadel Global Community Church, responded, and he said, can someone tell these people that scoring 0 in a primary election with one's true identity and integrity intact, as well as having original credentials from well-known schools, primary, secondary, colleges and universities within and outside this nation, are a veritable badge of honor, absolutely legit and unquestionable. Tunde Bakare, pastor, politician, replying Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu there. Now, the Guardian newspaper, $1 billion anti-terrorism spending poses on Buhari's security success. Mwezi, how over-invoicing, lack of transparency make nation unsafe. No price too high to pay for political stability. Retired Deputy IGP justifies anti-terrorism funding. Insecurity, worse under current administration. CISLAC insists now, according to The Guardian, perceived gap between result and the President Muhammadu Buhari's $1 billion spending on anti-terrorism is drawing shock reaction from stakeholders who insist that the country is not any safer today than it was at any time in its history. Yes, talking about efforts, spending, and results. Yes, so much spent, but the result is that there is widespread insecurity in the land, far more than when the president took over for the first time in 2015. That Nigerians can attest to. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, wrong choices responsible for Nigeria's woes. Kwankwanso, why major talks with Obi collapsed. Win your polling units, get appointment contracts. Atiku tells PDP members, reject my husband after 4 years if he underperforms. Remi Tinubu, the wife of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, potential first lady, is the one making that statement. Don't vote along ethno-religious lines. Peter Obi, the Labour Party flag bearer. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, federal government to fast-track fuel subsidy removal from June to April, says COVID-19 delayed initial decision to ensure cost does not exceed 3.23 trillion naira. Yes, the Minister of Finance yesterday, of course, that interview, exclusive, all the way from the World Economic Forum, was aired on Arise TV yesterday, and many newspapers have picked that point. The minister saying the government may, yes, I underline that word, may start the gradual removal of fuel subsidy from April. Well, it's like the minister has been listening to this program a lot, where we have canvassed that if we say we need the funds being spent on subsidy right now for other critical areas, and the government of the day has agreed on that, why kick the can down the road for the next administration? But whether the minister was speaking her own mind on, or that of the government of the day, left to be seen, because she said may be. Now, of course, the Vanguard newspaper has that story also. Gradual removal of petrol subsidy starts April, federal government. Now, above the masthead of the Vanguard newspaper, Oshodi, Apapa gridlock, touts extorting us, have Lagos government's backing. Truckers, freight forwarders are the ones saying that. Yes, talking about Apapa Watch, Vanguard that is located in that area, and they feel the pinch every day of the gridlock. Yesterday, it was reported by Vanguard that the police is saying that they have lost control of the situation on Apapa gridlock. I remember the governor of this state, when he came, Sanwo-Olu, yes, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, he said in 6 months he will end Apapa gridlock. And he made a visit, rolling up his sleeves physically for us to see. The governor, he doesn't talk about Apapa anymore. There are other serious things to talk about in Lagos, like blue line and red line. Now we move on to the Punch newspaper. Fuel scarcity bites harder. Marketers blame NNPC Ipman to sell petrol at 270 naira per litre as supply gap widens, lingers. NNPC GMD defense subsidy oil production now 1.52 million barrels per day. Now, the NNPC group managing director is used to shouting from the rooftop, we have enough petrol, we have enough stock. Sole importer of petroleum products, NNPCL. Now, we don't hear the group managing director say anything about the scarcity. We can see the long queues. Of course, those who want to buy petrol where it is being sold for 170, they don't think about traffic and blocking the road. right now in Lagos is one huge chaos all over the place because people are scrambling to get fuel. Now, the foreign newspapers quickly. Now, before the foreign newspaper, yes, let's look at what the Nation newspaper is reporting. Senior advocates of Nigeria poll under threat by returning officers' powers. Olanipekun raises concern over Section 65 of Electoral Act. Agbakoba seeks clarification on Section 134 of 134 of the 1999 Constitution. Now, if you're talking about a section of the Electoral Act, talking about the powers of, what do you want the nation to do now? To go and re-amend that piece of legislation? Of course, the National Assembly going on recess this week, and they will not return until after the elections. So, let us deal with the situation. The foreign newspaper quickly, Guardian newspaper, nurses and ambulance staff to stage unprecedented joint strike. February 6th, the NHS will be grounded. Nurses who are going on strike for the 5th time in the last couple of months will be having a joint coordinated strike with ambulance workers on that day. Of course, you had better not have an emergency. Of course, the people in the UK will be thinking about how that day will look. Ruben and Ayo.
Well, quickly, I need to make additional comments on the statements credited to the Minister of Police Affairs yesterday. The first one, which we tried to talk about earlier on, is the extension of the tenure of the Inspector General of Police. And the Minister of Police Affairs is relying on the provisions of the Police Act 2020, the new Police Act. Specifically, it will be Section 7, subsection 6 thereof, which gives the Inspector General of Police a 4-year tenure. But if you look at that same law in Section 18, subsection 8, says that any police officer will retire in line with public service rules if you have served for 35 years or upon the attainment of the age of 60. Now, statutes are not supposed to be read in isolation. You are supposed to take a community reading of both. However, this particular law has been tested with Mohammed Adamu when the president in 2021 decided to extend the tenure of the then IGP. At that time, when Maxwell Okpara went to court, even the Nigerian Bar Association went to court and said, look, if we were to look at Section 215 of the Constitution, the president cannot extend the tenure of the Inspector General of Police. But the truth of the matter is that under Section 214, 215, 216, the entire police institution is under the control of the President of Nigeria, which is part of the problem. But that ruling in 2021, on the basis of which Mohammed Adamu was given 3 months extension, has not been challenged. So they can now rely on precedents, stare decisis, to say a precedent was established with Mohammed Adamu, and now they've done the same thing with, Akali Baba. Well, what are the implications for morale within the police force? Because quoting the law is not enough. You also have to look at the environment. That's one. Number two, which is why I went back to the subject. The Minister of Police Affairs was said to have been boasting yesterday that corruption among the rank and file in the Nigerian police has reduced, in fact, has been eliminated. No, that's a lie. The people who go onto the streets of Nigeria every day, they know that the rank and file, the policemen, they just killed somebody in Aja, all because of money. They keep killing people every day. So that's not true.
Was it because of money they killed them?
Well, they wanted to stop a vehicle by force.
And to check her papers.
Which papers?
Not necessarily because of money.
Then, of course, he says police.
That case is in court, Ruben.
Police training institutions have been upgraded and rehabilitated. I've not seen any rehabilitation at the Ikeja Police College. And then, so that's also not true. And then finally, he says they are trying to do a bill to legitimize existing police training schools. Does it mean that we have illegal police training units?
When I heard of that bill, I thought they wanted to establish more institutions, police colleges.
No,
so I wanted to canvass that.
They say they want to give legal backing.
I thought they were talking of new institutions so that they will locate one in Delta State.
There will be need for closer interrogation of what the Minister of Police Affairs was saying. So a combination of half-truths.
We need clarity to some of the things.
Yeah. But maybe somebody will go to court again this time around to challenge the decision that has been taken with regard
but
to...
But the IGP will not stay there forever.
Let me just mention that finally the two held captives in Edo State have been released, and also
the last two
have been released, and the arrests have been made suspects in that kidnapping,
including two
monarchs.
No, not monarchs, village.
Well, we have to go now. Emmanuel Ofeni, we thank you very much.